Welcome to the Baboom Baboom podcast, your go-to source for expert tips on car stereo installation, vehicle wiring, and all things wiring related. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just getting started, we've got the advice to help you power up your ride. Get ready to crank up the volume on your knowledge and make your next wiring project a success.
Hey everyone, ever wish your car could, transport you beyond just physically driving? I mean, what if your daily commute could feel like you're in a concert hall or like a nature walk, all thanks to the magic of sound?
That would be pretty cool, wouldn't it?
Totally. And guess what? Today we're going to deep dive into how to make that happen using this article from the car audio experts over at Baboom Baboom. It's all about binaural sound in your car, taking you from to whoa.
Yeah, it's amazing what we can do with sound these days.
Right. So for anyone who hasn't quite gone down the binaural sound rabbit hole yet, it's not just stereo. It's more about how you can use two slightly different sound frequencies, one for each ear, to make your brain think there's a third sound coming from somewhere else entirely.
Yeah, it basically tricks your brain into perceiving a depth and location, just like how we naturally locate sounds in the real world.
Exactly. It's like, think about how you can instantly tell where a bird is chirping just by how the sound hits your ears. That's what binaural sound tries to recreate, but with recordings and a really clever speaker setup.
And this Baboom Baboom article, it lays out like 5 steps to achieve this whole audio magic thing.
Perfect. So step 1 is all about understanding what you need. They break it down into 3 main parts. First, you need a binaural audio source. And good news, tons of streaming services are starting to offer this. Then you need a way to get those distinct left and right channels to your ears.
Yeah.
And finally, you need a car audio system that can, handle all of this awesomeness.
And you know what's cool? A lot of newer cars actually already have pretty impressive sound systems built in, so you might be halfway there already.
That's awesome. So maybe this is easier than we think. Now, hold on. There's this part about wiring. And they recommend using 20 GA or 22 GA wires. I'm not an electrician or anything.
Me neither.
But apparently these wires are thin enough to, snake through your car's interior, but still powerful enough to carry all those intricate binaural signals without, losing any of the quality.
Yeah, it's about finding that balance.
Right. Okay, so step 2 is all about upgrading your head unit. Now, for those who aren't, audio experts, the head unit is basically the brain of your car's sound system. And the article's really clear. For binaural sound, you got to have a head unit with high-fidelity output so everything sounds crystal clear.
Think of it like this. You know how you might upgrade your phone to get better music quality? It's kind of the same idea that head unit determines how good those binaural recordings will sound.
Yeah, exactly. You also need what they call channel control, which basically means you can fine-tune those left and right channels for maximum 3D-ness.
Totally, yeah.
And it needs to be able to play different audio formats too, like FLAC and WAV. These are the VIP audio files. They hold way more detail than your regular MP3, which is super important for capturing all those tiny nuances of binaural recordings.
It's like giving your system the best possible ingredients to work with. Garbage in, garbage out, right?
Makes sense. Okay, so step 3 is where things get really interesting. Speaker and headphone integration. I mean, headphones are kind of the classic way to experience binaural sound, but this article is all about how to get that same effect through your car's speakers.
It's like game changer for road trips, right?
Right. And they say for the best sound, you should install speakers at ear level.
It's mimicking how our ears naturally work. If you think about it, when you go to a concert, they don't put the speakers on the floor. They're up high.
Good point. They even recommend these angled mounting brackets to help direct the sound even more precisely. Plus, you'll need tweeters and mid-range drivers. Those are the specialists, I guess, on your car audio team.
It's about having a full orchestra in your car, each instrument playing its part.
Love that. Okay, so are you ready for step 4? This is where the real magic happens.
Hit me.
The digital signal processor, the DSP. This is where you get excited, right?
Oh, absolutely. This is like having a tiny sound engineer riding shotgun with you, constantly tweaking the audio to get the best possible binaural effect.
Amazing. And the article also says to use premium CCA wires for the DSP. Apparently, these special wires help keep the audio signal super clean.
It's like a high-speed internet connection for your sound system.
I like that analogy.
No.
Okay, so you've got your audio source, upgraded head unit, speakers perfectly positioned, and your DSP working its magic. What's next?
Need top quality electrical wire? Baboom Baboom's got you covered. Get your 6-pack today. Each combo comes in 6 different colors and a total of 600 feet of wire. Perfect for any project, and you won't find a better price in the industry. Head over to baboombaboom.com now to snag yours. That's baboombaboom.com.
Well, now it's time for the fun part, step 5. You gotta test it all out with some actual binaural content. You can find tons of binaural tracks on most streaming services now.
Perfect. So this step is all about experimenting, right?
Yeah.
Play around with the equalizer settings, fine-tune your DSP, and just see what sounds best to you.
Exactly. It's all about personalizing that listening experience.
So we've covered these 5 steps to install a binaural sound system in your car. But before we jump into the Baboom Baboom article's bonus tips, let's just pause for a second and consider why go through all this effort. What's so great about binaural sound? Like, beyond just, it's cool.
That's a great question. It's not just about novelty, it's about how sound can affect us. There's even some research that suggests binaural beats, a specific type of binaural audio, can actually influence your brainwave activity, you know? It might even help you relax and focus better.
Wow. So it's like sound therapy, but in your car.
Yeah. And of course, there's the entertainment value. Imagine listening to your favorite music and it's like 10 times more awesome. Or even better.
Okay, I'm listening.
Think about audiobooks. The characters could sound like they're all around you as if you're in the story. Or imagine a nature documentary where you can practically feel the rainforest surrounding you.
I am so ready for this. It's like stepping inside the movie instead of just watching it on a screen.
Exactly.
This is blowing my mind.
Right.
Okay, before we go totally off the rails with possibilities, let's get back to those extra tips from the Baboom Baboom article.
Sounds good. Let's see what else they have in store for us. Welcome back. So before we took a minute to think about, like, the bigger picture of binaural sound, we were about to get into those extra tips from Baboom Baboom to make your setup even better.
Right, they had some extra little things you could do. Okay, so the first one's about sound deadening materials. I'm kind of picturing those foam panels you see in recording studios, but I'm guessing it's not that intense for a car.
It's actually more common than you'd think. A lot of people who are really into car audio, they use these materials to, like, cut down on road noise and vibrations.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
That stuff can get pretty annoying.
Yeah, it can really mess up your listening experience. But for binaural sound, it's, like, super important.
Because all that extra noise could, like, interfere with the, I guess, the binaural cues that make the 3D effect work.
Exactly. It's all about creating this quiet space inside your car, you know, a sonic sanctuary. When you minimize those unwanted sounds, the binaural sounds can, like, really come through.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. What's the next tip they have?
This one's no surprise. The article's really big on investing in good quality equipment. It's like the better the components, the more immersive and detailed your binaural experience will be.
So it's not just about, like, cranking up the volume. It's about, like, fidelity and clarity.
Exactly. Remember how we talked about those tiny differences in timing and frequency between the left and right channels? If your equipment isn't good enough, those differences can get lost, and then the 3D effect just won't be as convincing.
Yeah, good point. Makes sense.
Okay, and the last tip they have might seem obvious, but people forget it all the time. Regular maintenance. You got to keep those connections clean and make sure those wires are in good shape.
So it's kind of like taking care of your car's engine, but for your sound system.
Pretty much. A little maintenance goes a long way.
Okay, I'm definitely sold on this whole binaural thing now. My car's got to be a binaural haven. But, like, where do I even begin? Can I actually do this myself, or do I need to, like, call in the pros?
That's what's cool about this. You've got choices. If you're handy with car audio stuff and basic wiring, you can totally follow the steps in that Baboom Baboom article. But if you're more of a, plug-and-play person, it's totally fine to get help from a professional installer. They can make sure everything's perfect.
So it's all about knowing what you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
And not being afraid to ask for help.
Exactly. And no matter what you decide to do your research, compare different parts, read some reviews, maybe even listen to a few demo setups to get a feel for what you like.
Like test driving different cars before you buy one.
Perfect analogy.
Okay, so before we move on, I gotta ask, what about the future of binaural sound? This article focuses mostly on music, but where else can we take this technology?
Oh man, that's where it gets really exciting. Imagine a world where your GPS directions are, like, whispered in your ear by a co-pilot, or language learning apps that make you feel like you're in a real conversation surrounded by native speakers.
Whoa, that's next level. And what about accessibility? Could this help people who are visually impaired? like by giving them a richer sense of space and direction?
Totally. The possibilities are endless, really. As the technology gets better and more affordable, who knows what we'll come up with? It could completely change how we interact with sound and information in general.
Mind-blowing. Okay, well, before I start tearing apart my car's interior, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll get into some of the, I guess, the practical stuff, like actually choosing and installing a binaural system in your car. So don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everyone. So we've explored like all the cool stuff about binaural sound in your car. I'm already thinking about upgrading my own ride. But before we all go crazy and buy all new speakers and stuff, let's talk about, being practical. Like, how much is all this going to cost?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Can regular people who aren't, made of money actually afford this binaural upgrade?
Good news is you don't have to spend a ton of cash to get that immersive 3D sound in your car. There are options for every budget, really.
Okay, good. So I can at least try it out without, like, getting a loan or something.
Absolutely. You could start with a decent head unit that's got good channel separation and a pair of good headphones or earbuds. That alone will give you a pretty good taste of what binaural sound is all about.
Okay, that's not bad.
And then later on, as you have more money to spend, you can gradually upgrade to those dedicated DSPs and maybe some higher-end speakers.
Gotcha. Like, build your dream sound system piece by piece.
Exactly.
Okay, so what about installation? Is that something like a regular person with some DIY skills can handle? Or do I need to call, like, a professional car audio person?
Well, it depends. Some of those upgrades, like swapping out your head unit or adding sound deadening material, those are fairly straightforward.
Okay, so I could maybe do that myself.
Yeah, probably. There are lots of tutorials and stuff online to help you, but, if you're not really comfortable with wiring or messing with electronics, it's always better to get a professional to do it.
Makes sense. Better safe than sorry.
Right. So now let's talk about the actual binaural experience. What should people expect to, hear when they first listen to music or other audio in this format?
Yeah. I'm kind of picturing, like, some mind-blowing, eargasmic revelation or something.
Uh-huh. Well, it's definitely a different way of listening. The first thing you'll probably notice is the space. Sounds won't just seem like they're coming from the left and right speakers. It'll feel like they're all around you.
So it's like that personal concert hall idea the article was talking about.
Yep. You'll also hear a lot more detail, like tiny sounds that might have been lost in a regular stereo mix will suddenly pop out.
Oh, cool. I bet that would be amazing for, like, nature documentaries or those ambient soundscapes, right? You'd feel like you're actually there in the rainforest or whatever.
Exactly. And because it's so immersive, binaural sound can actually be really calming and relaxing, too. Some people listen to binaural beats or nature sounds to, de-stress and focus better.
Wow. So it's not just entertainment. It could be good for you, too.
Yep. But like with any new technology, there are also a few things to, watch out for. It might take a little time for your brain to get used to binaural sound.
Oh, yeah. Our brains are so used to regular stereo.
Exactly. So just give it a little time. And another thing, the quality of the recording itself, it makes a big difference. If the recording isn't very good, it's not going to sound as immersive or as detailed.
Right. So pay attention to where you're getting your audio from.
Exactly. And just a little reminder, especially if you're driving. Because binaural sound is so immersive, it's easy to kind of lose yourself in the experience.
And forget that you're driving a car.
Right. So always be aware of your surroundings, okay? Safety first.
Always good advice.
Yeah.
So I think we've covered, like, everything about binaural sound in your car, from the science behind it to how to actually set it up. Any final thoughts for our listeners who might be thinking about trying it out?
I'd say if you're curious about sound and want to experience something totally new, go for it. Binaural audio is worth checking out.
I agree. And who knows, maybe someday binaural sound will be as common as stereo is now.
Need top-quality electrical wire? Baboom Baboom's got you covered. Get your 6-pack today. Each combo comes in 6 different colors and a total of 600 feet of wire. Perfect for any project, and you won't find a better price in the industry. Head over to baboombaboom.com now to snag yours. That's baboombaboom.com.